Hi guys, and welcome to RetroStarzz. I'm Scott Lucrei, otherwise known as Old Sage, and welcome to my Nuzlocke playthrough of the original Pokemon Blue, released in 1998. For those of you who don't know what a Nuzlocke challenge is, and I'm sure there are plenty of you that do, it's essentially a hard mode for Pokemon, where if one of your Pokemon is defeated or faints, as it's referred to in-game, they are considered dead. Now, some people who are purists actually release their Pokemon upon their death, but when I play, I like to just keep them in the PC, you know, for fond memories and whatnot. So that's the first major rule. The second major rule is you can only catch one Pokemon in each area of the game, that is, each named area of the game, say Pallet Town or Route 2 or Viridian Forest, for example. And you can only catch the first Pokemon you encounter in that route. So if you happen to not have any Pokeballs at the time, or you accidentally killed the Pokemon, or anything like that, then you actually use up your Pokemon from that particular area. So that makes the game quite challenging. Now there are many other stipulations you can also add to a Nuzlocke playthrough, but because I'm not particularly skilled at them, and more so to the point that I actually want to complete it, I'm probably going to be avoiding any more stipulations. That being said, I'm going to attempt to not use Pokemon Centers too much, because I think doing so would encourage me to grind, and grinding in itself would make for a very boring Let's Play to watch, so I'm going to try and avoid that. So yes. Now, what I did for my starter is I wanted to make this game as random as possible, this playthrough as random as possible, rather. So, you'll see me grabbing the potion here first of all, which is very important because if you lose the battle against your rival, then you lose the game because you don't have any Pokemon left after your starter dies. So that's very important to pick up that potion. Now anyway, as I was saying, I wanted to make this playthrough as random as possible, so in order to choose my starter, I debated about it for a long time, and I was going to pick Charmander because that was the hardest. And then I said, oh, maybe I'll pick Squirtle for an intermediate challenge, or then I was like, oh, I'll get Bulbasaur because I really don't want to screw this up. But ultimately I said, that's still me choosing, so I decided that I would use a random number generator, just say, give me a number from 1 to 3, numbering off Bulbasaur as 1, Squirtle as 2, Charmander is 3, and it dished up 1 for me. So as you'll see, I'm going to get Bulbasaur. I probably shouldn't have spoiled that, I'm sorry, I'll try not to spoil things in future. And then I had to come up with a nickname, and I decided to go with... Actually, no, you can just watch that. You'll see that as it unfolds. So Bulbasaur is obviously a very good starter to get, particularly in a Nuzlocke challenge. Having, you know, puts you in good stead for the first 2 gyms. Obviously Brock with the rock types and Misty with water. So you've got not only effectiveness, super effective attacks for both of them, but also a resistance to Misty, which is very important because Misty's Starmie can completely wreck you. That I even remember playing this game for the first time. Misty's Starmie was the first real challenge in the game with Bubble Beam. So anyway, as for the name for Bulbasaur, I went with Floret, which is sort of a play on Flora, obviously. I just thought it was kind of cool, and I kind of like the idea of having sort of a flower reference and having Bulbasaur being a female. I'm not really sure why, that just seemed to fit. You know, if it was maybe a Squirtle or a Charmander gone for a male name, I'd already thought of a pretty cool name for a Charmander. I was going to go with Flamebait. I just thought that sounds really awesome. But anyway, so this is the first battle against Blue, my rival, who has a Charmander, and I'm sure his Charizard is going to give me absolute hell later on in this playthrough, but for now, what are you going to do? Not much. So anyway, I was kind of worried in this battle. I mean, it helps having the potion because that's your backup. You can't really go wrong if you have the potion. But I remember one time I was going to do a Nuzlocke challenge with one of my friends, and we were going to play Leaf Green. And we started up, and we had our Bulbasaur, and it got killed by the Charmander. It was quite depressing. I mean, that's not the way you want to start one of these challenges, by completely and utterly failing right at the very beginning. But yeah, luckily we got through this unscathed. When I got down to 4 health here, I got a little worried, so just for insurance I used the potion. Better to be safe than sorry, right? But that ensured victory. And a little bit of money, and Floret levels up to level 6, which is good. One thing I'm trying to avoid also in this playthrough, well, actually I already mentioned it, is excessive grinding. So I'm trying not to, you know, just walk around in the fields fighting multiple Pokemon just to get the levels up. I'm trying to, if I run into a wild Pokemon while I'm going somewhere, I'm definitely going to fight it, because my god, the level up is just, it's so valuable in this game. But I'm not, you know, I'm not really, I'm not purposefully walking around in the fields and just taking ages to level up, like 2 or 3 levels ahead to make this challenge easier. That's not what this is about. It's about a serious challenge. So anyway, defeated Blue quite handily, and we headed off onto Route 1. Now, what I did first of all was grab the potion from this guy, which is so helpful, especially early on in this game. If you make a mistake and, you know, you get a critical hit against you or anything like that, the potions are so valuable. So it's great if you don't use that first potion in that first battle, but chances are you're going to. It's very likely. And now we encountered the first Pokemon. Now, if I had Pokeballs, then I'd be able to catch this Rattata. Unfortunately, I didn't, so my only course of action, well, I ran at this stage. I probably could have fought it for experience, but I was playing really safely, having just the one Pokemon. I really didn't want to, you know, start this playthrough and then just, you know, completely stuff it up right off the bat. That would have been horrible. So I was really keen to just get through this, get the Pokédex, buy some Pokeballs, get some more Pokemon, and stop stressing my ass off. But anyway, as I encountered that Rattata, Route 1 has now been effectively wiped off as a resource for getting new Pokemon. Which, you know, might seem a bit harsh, but that's the reality. Some people I've seen with their Let's Plays of Nuzlocks, they actually don't start the rule until they're actually capable of buying Pokeballs, but for me that's sort of being a bit wishy-washy. I like to play things pretty legit, so unfortunately we missed out on a Pokemon there, but that's cool. You'll see in the next episode, I'm going to get quite a few Pokemon to join up. Yeah, all in the next episode. So I'd recommend watching that one because it'll be quite interesting. Gosh, ran out of things to say. That's awkward. So anyway, we've got the Pokédex, which is good, and I mean, one thing I love about this game is the rival is probably one of my favorite villains. He's not really a villain per se. Well, I guess he is, but not in a classic sense. But he's such a dick, and that's amazing. And you look at some of the rivals in some of the newer Pokemon games. I mean, sure, the guy in Gold and Silver, he was probably almost worse. But then you look at like May and Wally, and I don't even know what I don't know what his official name is, but the guy in Diamond and Pearl, Clint, is what I called him. This was one of the options in Pearl. But yeah, they lack the character. So anyway, we're gonna just go in here and grab the town map, because that's really useful for checking what area you're in, and then therefore knowing if you've got a Pokemon there. And having done that, that'll be the end of this episode, but like I said, make sure you come and see the next one, because we're going to be amassing an army, and it will be exciting. Thanks guys, catch you next time.